This is a inspection that's conducted by CorrTech as part of a multi-year tank program, as part of the service that we provide while we're doing the internal inspections and the structural evaluations. We're also doing a drone video survey of the site and of the tank to provide the customer with a status point of the condition of their tank, and also as a 3D planning tool for when they have to do rehabilitation or check their site perimeter. So they have ability to do a before and after, whether it's 2 years or 5 years later down the road, to see any changes. So this is a video that is produced as part of CorrTech's service to their customers, and then we leave them with the video for their use later on. Once you have this image, once you have this site survey, they now have the ability, if they're going to go out to public bid for rehabilitation or site changes, they can do pre-job meetings, transfer information to potential contractors without having to travel around their entire system to show people these sites. So they have a physical planning tool that they can use. They might also, in this case here, I remember one of the sites we had, they discovered that they had neighbors that were encroaching on their property lines, and they were able to go back and reestablish their property with the video, so that they didn't have to fight later on. One of the other applications for these videos, there's always a public, a PR aspect to these tanks. How they're viewed by the public. If somebody's going to put logos or signs on, you could superimpose that and show people what it's going to look like. You could also use this to show that we're going to put a new tank in next to it, and what the public is going to see, because they're always fighting not in my backyard type of mentality. So these become pretty good planning tools for new tanks as well as modifying existing tanks. We started thinking about drones. Utilities that have large watersheds have to walk their watershed and look for unauthorized activity, look for landslides or erosion, and this would make a very good, very efficient to walk an entire or film an entire watershed area around a reservoir on a monthly basis and just look for problems. The other initial reason we actually got involved with drones in the water tanks, and these tanks don't demonstrate that, was we inspect a lot of very old tanks, 1920s vintage, 1930s vintage tanks, and some of those tanks have revolving ladders on the roof that are attached to a central point that you can't see. There's no way to see that attachment before you climb this ladder to get to the top of the tank. And we actually were using the drone as a way to do a pre-safety survey to make sure we weren't asking somebody to climb something that was, hanging on by a thread or was almost detached. So that was kind of the initial reason we started using drones on the water tanks, was for our own safety. And that's still a good application today, but most of the tanks are going to be new tanks like these. Okay, this is a 3 million gallon storage tank. This is actually, tank was built in 1960, I believe, this tank. And we were doing a complete interior inspection as part of a washout and a dry inspection. So this was not an internal ROV inspection. And then we were doing just a site documentation for the client of the elevated surfaces, the roof. The benefit for us here was, because they asked us to do this work in the winter and the roof was covered with snow, we couldn't safely climb the tank. So the drone allowed us to do at least a partial roof survey to look at overall rusting without having to climb up there.
I would say from pulling up to the site to leaving the site, you can do it within an hour. If you're talking just flight time, you're looking at 15 minutes, because you got to do some Usually what I end up doing is I do the video and then I do the actual drone flight, because the 3D model isn't generated from the video, it's generated from stills. So I basically have to fly the tag site twice. And you also got to go through your clearance procedures, and sometimes that takes a couple minutes.
The nice thing about the 3D scan is that you're inputting some criteria into the program before you fly, but then once you hit fly, it's running a mission, and you don't have to do much to control it. You keep your eye on the thing, but the video that we're watching, Ben's flying around watching it, controlling it. It's all manual. 3D scan's nice and easy and repeatable to the exact same thing.
And then I would take stills. The stills are even higher resolution. I was about, I'd say, 50 feet from a tank, and I could tell if the tank roof hatch was locked or if it was unlocked.
I think one of the advantages of this technology too is that you, as Jade mentioned, you can pre-program this thing. So for the project we had at Shaft D, that would have been a program flight that we would have done every month for about 8 months. The exact flight, the exact pictures, the exact angle, the exact height. And so it's very repeatable. So you can look at the same tank over the course of, say, the construction or application of coating, and see the progress or whatever from the exact same perspective over and over and over again, and that can be quite useful.